Well, wow, what a what a finish to that NASCAR race, and I gonna definitely go through some key things about the rain, but a lot of big questions still to answer about this rain racing or what weather racing, if you will. So first, obviously, we knew there was gonna be some threat of rain at some point in the race. Just obviously didn't know when, and if it was going to happen before halfway. Well, that answer was answered, and it was after halfway. But NASCAR decided to keep with it and decided to put the rain tires on, or the wet weather tires. I'm sorry, the rain tires. All right, I don't care what you say. They're rain tires, okay? But the question was, what were they gonna? How would they perform on this kind of oval track? Now, they've only been. This is the only second time, excuse me, well, the third time, if you will, that they used a rain tire on an oval on a short track. Uh, One was North Wilkesboro on the old surface, and then they used it at Richmond. But this is the biggest track they've done it on with New Hampshire. A lot more faster speeds, a lot more sweeping of turn, like a sweeping turn, less banking. So, kind of like a question: how good or how bad this was going to be. NASCAR for one did a good job getting the track dried enough to where it wasn't causing spray or anything like that. In fact, some drivers after the race was over saying it could have been even wetter because the spray was like non-existent and it was drying up really quick. Now, however, the track wasn't 100% drying that quick. Certain sections were the back straightaway, the front straightaway, the some of the turn areas were, but not the whole track. So it was kind of like, well, what do you do? Like, how do we know when to go back on slicks and stuff like that? It was a whole to do on that part. But the person that was fastest, no matter what, from start to finish, was Christopher Bell. He's just really good at New Hampshire now, and he's just found something here, regardless if it's dry or wet. And definitely good for that team and organization, again, to get that win. But the bigger thing lies, have we proved that we can race on ovals in the wet? And can we get sorry if this comes out way worse than it should, but can we get wetter? Can we get the track even wetter than what it was and be able to make these tires last? Also, I feel like NASCAR needs to loosen the reins a little bit. And the main question was, how will NASCAR officiate this? And I hate to say this, but I wouldn't say it was an F. I would say it was like a C on officiating it. I think they could have done a lot different on certain things, including when drivers wanted to go back to slicks, it should be their option, not NASCAR. This is competitive motorsports racing. We do not need NASCAR to officiate how we're supposed to put tires on or not. I mean, they were begging once the first set came off, they knew once they put the second set on, it was going to dry even faster and it was going to burn these tires up. And then when that happened and the cars came out for another spin, it led to them begging again. I'm saying, hey, we're close to maybe even putting slicks on. It's getting this dry. And finally, they said, okay, well, you can at least put the third set of wet tires on. That should get you to the end, and that sort of thing. And I feel like, yes, they wanted to finish on those tires versus taking a risk and putting people on slicks. But this is the competitive spot of the sport. Like, you need let the teams, the drivers, whatever, to decide all of this. Don't get involved in that kind of stuff. That's messing and manipulating a outcome of a race. kind of funny. They have a rule for teams and drivers to not be going in there and trying to manipulate an outcome of a race, like attention spinning or whatever. Well, in this case, NASCAR is doing this. And I understand they're trying to do it on abundance of caution and to do for safety, but we've already learned on road courses in a lot wetter conditions that these teams know when you need to get back on slicks. So if they feel like, yes, I feel comfortable get back on slicks, the driver's going to say that and they should come in and get slicks. But if you manipulate that and say, well, no, you're going to stay on wet tires for. At one point, they were saying that you couldn't even change your wet weather tires. Like, you had to keep it on one set. And I'm thinking, no, you got to at least allow them to at least change the sets again, because if they are blistering and getting hot and wearing out, you have to at least give them some extra sets. And they finally did, but it was just like, you can't be too cautious, right? You gotta work at it gradually but aggressively at the same time. So did it work? Yes, absolutely it worked. And kudos to NASCAR for trying it, and I'm glad. Now this came from Bob Hockers like months ago. I don't know if this is still a thing and they're still going to test it or not, but they said they were going to test the rain tires, wet weather tires at Homestead. They're going to purposely get the track wet, in a damp condition, and see how it goes. I could say maybe not next year, but maybe in a couple of years, we could see them try to, at least in damp conditions, race at mile and a halves. I know that sounds silly, but this track, I know it's considered a short track because of the slower speeds in the turns. But technically, it's almost a mile and a half just because of the length of it. It's pretty close. I would say I wouldn't put it past them. And I think it'd be even better in some cases to try it at a mile and a half with banking, because the track would dry even faster. And then also, this thing about what happened at the Coca-Cola 600 with the humidity would be a non-existent thing if they would allow them to just slap on the wet weather tires. So I am all for it. Just, yes, you got to baby up to it a little bit. I think that with mile and a half, I'd be even more cautious than I would have been even here. But I think it's now the realm to try. And you gotta just kind of see and push it just a little bit to the limit. Now, after the mile and a half, no, we're not trying super speedways. We're not trying that. That's just ridiculous. we're shooting to the moon at that point. So I think I stop at the mile and a half when it comes to doing that. And again, it has to be damp conditions. That would absolutely need to be damp conditions. But now the round to try. Now it'd be really cool to see it happen. So, as for the race, like the beginning of the race was typical New Hampshire, hard to pass. Just couldn't really do much if you were the faster car, which Bell was. Beginning of the race, it was hard. It was hard to pass, right? You saw passing, but it was just you got to really work on it, and you got to make sure the guy has an issue. Get him to kind of fake out, and you can get to the top. The top was a lot better for a groove and all that stuff. So the beginning of the race was typical New Hampshire style racing. But once we put the wet weather tires on, it went from that to exciting in a second. Not only this, they were racing on the apron. Now, usually on dry, the slick tires, you might touch the apron to help maybe hook the car to rotate it, but not put all four wheels below the line and run on the apron. A lot of cars were doing that. Probably half the field was doing that. And then not only that, you were running almost right against the wall on the outside, and then all in between. So it was insane, all those restarts when they were doing that. But Bell just was good in dry and wet. pit strategy in the middle kind of got pushed back a little bit, but he found his way back when they got to the rain tires and was able to get it done. And that it's just unbelievable with this. It definitely, I think, saved the racing's rating a little bit. It probably bump up a lot more than it was probably going to be. I would say it would have been around 53 to 55% on good race pull, like Jeff Glark's race pull. I'd say maybe now it's like a 60, maybe, unless people are just too bitter about everything and don't like Bell. Which, by the way, Bell actually won this race legitimately. He finished the whole race, as he commented in post race. So, but still, I think it was a really good test to try this. But NASCAR, you got to sometimes butt out. Sometimes you butt in way too much than you should. Let the teams and the drivers decide how it goes. So, but anyways, let me know in the comments below what you thought about the race and what you think they can do next. Could they try to race in damp conditions on mile and a halves? So, let me know in the comments below with that. And if you did like this video, make sure to hit the like button if you're new to this channel and want to see more NASCAR content. Consider subscribing. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you for the next one.